and retweeted it from the podcast account. I said it's par for the course.
It is.
I tagged Minnesota United in it.
Yeah.
Because I don't care, but it's par for the course. I mean, these are the players they're looking at. And it's just like, what in the world are they doing? You know, somebody else who I think actually follows the podcast had posted something about it. And I said, well, if you want any idea of what type of talent we're talking about, our past goalkeeper, Elfbaj, who we dumped for Bobby, plays in the first division Cypriot League.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of the concept of the talent that we're dealing with.
That's talent there, yeah.
You know, I can't imagine, even with the resume he has, that he's valuable enough to waste an international spot on it. You know, and on top of that, I just wanted to see, because he's kind of that box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to see what his stats were in terms of fouls. Mm-hmm. And he's only played 225 minutes this season because of that injury. He's committed 6 fouls, 3 yellow cards. Or sorry, this was with the Whitecaps. Sorry.
Yeah.
In those 225 minutes, he committed 6 fouls, 3 yellow cards, and only had 1 shot on goal.
Oh, fun.
So he had 3 yellow cards in 200 minutes.
Yeah.
Do we need to be worried about a guy who could be riding a yellow card for 60 minutes in a game? I mean, especially in the midfield.
And especially with a bad knee.
And with a bad knee.
This is what gets me about if we sign this guy. Knee problems in any sport are a bad omen. And I get it. You might, the United might think, well, we've seen his medical history. It's not really a bad knee. It's a sprained knee or whatever. Yeah. Okay, fine. But if he has knee problems, I don't want any part of the guy.
Right.
Because you've seen in other sports what knee problems do to guys.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't want that guy.
He's 28 years old and he really hasn't done much over the last few years.
Exactly.
No, exactly right too.
It just seems like that's a big question mark, and that's why I did like your personal comment. It's par for the course. That does make sense.
You know, I think one thing that I pulled out was I'm not a big fan of players who have character issues. I mean, if they're super talented, you get around it.
Yeah.
But so this guy, why he left Vancouver is completely up in the air. No one knows. They had an option to sign him, and their front office said that we tried, it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. There were some news reports later on toward the beginning of last season that kind of hinted at maybe he had a character issue.
Okay.
Well, so I mentioned that he played on Nigeria's national team. He got dropped from the national team because he was bad-mouthing the manager.
Whoops.
So, this dude, if you want to sign someone that has character issues, great. If they're talented.
Yeah.
If they're not going to bring something to the team, you don't want that type of toxicity anywhere near the clubhouse. Sorry, that's kind of a baseball term, I guess. The locker room.
Yeah.
Of a team that's already not that great.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about a up and down season and then you add some toxic attitudes, I don't know. It's par for the course.
But these are the 2 rumors we have right now.
That's it.
This is it.
Now the nice thing is at least Jan Gregus, we had no idea.
Yeah, it was out of the
it just all of a sudden popped up.
Wow.
And isn't that kind of the United's track record right now, is not to make all these.
Oh, it's totally.
They're not very transparent.
Yeah.
No.
And
they make surprise moves
by design. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think we probably. I guess we should hope we're surprised over the next month.
Well, I would hope so. I hope it's a good surprise.
Yeah. I would take a bad surprise at this point.
We aren't looking.
Well, I don't want a piece of shit in a box.
But it's still, it's like at least they're doing something.
Yeah.
Right?
Realistically, would you expect a big splash, though? I mean, you would expect some signings, but would you expect a big splash, a big signing, somebody that makes you kind of go, wow?
I don't know if I want a big splash. I'd like to see some defenders be signed.
Yeah.
Whether they be good or not.
You don't have to spend a lot of money to fill out the defensive roster.
No.
You don't. I mean, it would be really cool to see them sign a DP at right back or center back.
Yeah.
But, you don't need it. Technically right now we have 3 DPs. Angelo Rodriguez should not be a DP. He's getting paid basically the same amount of money that Christian Ramirez is getting paid. The only reason he's a DP is because of his transfer fee.
Yep.
So they could take the TAM and they could pay it down and they'd open another DP spot.
Yep.
I would like to see them do that. Anybody that doesn't expect that doesn't understand MLS soccer. I mean, everyone's saying that's the common sense thing to do.
That's what the money is for. That's what the TAM is for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You sign better. You can sign better players, and avoid using that DP. Increase your talent. You don't use TAM on depth. You use TAM on starters who aren't quite good enough to be in Europe, but still want to make some money that they can't make in like South America, Latin America.
That's why they traded Christian Ramirez. You could make a case that he didn't fit into what they wanted to do going forward, but certainly the other half of that is to get that,
that TAM money,
800,000.
Yeah, that was a big chunk of change.
It was, and that's exactly why how they should use it, and hopefully that's how they will use it.
The second half of this podcast, we're going to get into some more financial stuff because there was interesting things from the MLS Players Union about
transfer fees and solidarity payments,
and all that type of stuff. But just to finish up, guys, again, we haven't seen really anything except for one move.
Right.
We haven't seen anything else come through except for rumors. And we are 1 month away from the preseason. We're having a little tournament down in Tucson.
Yep.
It's the micro...
It's the, they call it the Mobile Mini Sun Cup, but it's out of Tucson.
Out of Tucson, yeah.
But yeah, that's first game is less than a month ago.
Yeah.
Less than a month away, February 2nd.
Yep. So we'll have preseason less than a month away here.
And I'm not sure, and they might have scheduled something. I know, like last year, for example, in 2018, their first preseason game was still in the month of January. They did some closed door against, I think they're college teams. So bottom line, we're 2 or 3 weeks away from preseason action.
Yeah.
You want to get your lineup set, starting in the preseason. You want to see what's going on with these guys.
And you know what's crazy? Again, we've already talked about it in this episode. They can't field a team.
No.
They actually can't because you don't have enough defenders.
And there's too many question marks with people coming back from injury and you just...
Yeah, I mean, if I could sit down, I could write out the front, attack.
You could come up with a starting 11 right now. I mean, if you had to.
I couldn't because there's no right back.
There's no right back. Yeah.
I would not pick Carter Manley.
You could come up with everybody except the defensive backs, really.
And I mean, I could resign myself to make a line.
Sure.
By saying, okay, fine, Carter Manley's the right back.
But not one you're comfortable with in year 3 going into Allianz Field.
No.
And if they don't sign a top-level CB, I'm not comfortable with what they have even then because it's not. You shipped in 71 goals last year.
Yeah.
That center back pairing... Yeah, a lot of it had to do with the fact that we had no help on the flanks and up in front of them. Still.
But I remember in the beginning of the season was a lot of Calvo playing that center position where he shouldn't be playing anyways.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at those 71 goals. I'd figured it out. 71 goals, 5 of them were directly related to errors by Calvo. Okay, so that's 66.
Yep.
And then I think I was able to account for another 12 or 14, something like that. Of goals that came while he was at center back.
Yep.
So you can maybe say, 60 goals. Maybe 58. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big difference.
It is.
Especially in soccer.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to badmouth Calvo because I think he's a cool dude. I think he's a really good left back.
We badmouthed him enough at the beginning of last season because he was playing in the bad spot. And I think we realized that when he went back to it where he should be.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, this is the player that he's playing how he should play now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to make those decisions anymore. He can play where he needs to play, and he's good.
Yeah, I've said it before. I love his heart. I love his energy.
Yeah,
I love what he means. He means a lot to the team, the locker room. He's a big head there.
Even with his respect comments from April or whatever that was last year.
Yeah.
completely ludicrous. Minnesota United doesn't deserve any respect.
I feel like people
it showed heart, passion for the team.
I kind of feel like people have jumped on that bandwagon, and I think it's just he kind of stoked the fire with Atlanta and those other, the newer teams.
Well, and I think that, like I said, at the beginning of the season he was shit, bad spot. And when he started to come on, I think everybody got behind him. And I will say this, and I've said this on the podcast before, I was wrong about the guy.
Yep. Yeah,
I thought he was a complete shit show in the beginning.
Yeah, and then
when he turned the corner.
And then when he left for the World Cup, it was like, oh, good God.
Oh, God. He was good.
Yeah.
I think, wasn't it Steel Toe that we had you David Sterling, you put that whole thing together as far as analyzing, some of the, how we've allowed so many goals up until this point, and why have they been allowed? And unfortunately, at that point, Calvo was kind of at the head of the list.
Yeah, he was. He had some really bad plays.
You can't deny that, but that goes into the out of the position, and of course, we missed him during his World Cup departure.
We did.
Yeah.
Then I wanted him back. He won the World Cup. I'm like, good. Then during the World Cup, we sucked in defense. I'm like, Calvo, please come back. We miss you.
And I think a lot of people were wrong about the impact he has on the team.
And I admit that. I'm not one of those guys who's going to say, no, I didn't say that. I admit that I was wrong about the guy.
Yeah, I am too.
That's good.
So I think we'll cut off this half, guys. Let's go get some more beers. We'll be back at Utepils, in a couple minutes.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Lunacy Podcast. We are still at Utepils. I think I said it right this time. Utepils.
Very good.
Brewing Company on the west side of Minneapolis, tucked away on glorious Bassett Creek. So we ended our last half talking about the United a little bit and some moves they were trying to make. Dave, Sterling, and I were kind of going back on Twitter a little bit about some. It was the MLS Union. Before we get to that, though, Steven just pointed out each of us just got a flight of beer.
Yeah,
and they're on little skis.
So
they're very cool.
So it's not just a flight; it's a flight ski.
It's a flight ski. Yeah, it's a flight ski, and it's all 5 of their regular rotation beers on the skis. That's the deal. There's no you can't get any different beers.
No, but I think it certainly speeds up the ordering process. I mean, it's a good sample of everything they have. They have, it doesn't give you the option to try a few of their maybe rotating ones or new ones, but it certainly gives you a good taste of everything they've got.
But it's I think this is the coolest flight I've seen at a brewery.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on.
No doubt.
It's a ski.
Yeah, it's an awesome way to repurpose skis.
An actual ski, like yours are Rossignol skis.
It's not like just a wooden ski they kind of created. It's painted. It's got stuff on there.
We'll post that picture that Dave.
Yeah. It's very awesome.
Yeah.
So Stevens and I have the flight, so we have all their basic beers. So we've got the Alt 18. I think it's Alt 1848. We've got the Glocal IPA, Ewald the Golden, I don't even know how to say that. Is that Copacetic?
Copacetic,
yeah. And the Pills. And all these beers, I don't know if you guys know this, all these beers you can find at liquor stores. They're canned. They can all these beers.
Yep.
So this is one of the... we've been to a couple breweries where they don't can their beers yet, but this is a brewery that they do can their beers, and you can find them in any major liquor store.
Yeah.
And I've had them before, and they're fantastic.
Which, speaking of their capacity, I mean, they have a lot of room. I was kind of looking back there when I went to the restroom.
Yeah.
There's some room to expand beyond what they have, which is incredible.
It must have been an old warehouse or shipping yard or something.
You're talking from a brewing standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, because they've got, I would say...
It looks like maybe 15.
5 or 6 tanks they could put in.
Yeah.
Fermenters, sorry.
They have a huge amount of tanks here.
Yeah.
And they have to because they're canning their beers.
Yeah.
So, unlike some of the breweries we've been to in the past, they're smaller breweries.
Yep.
I know Omni does some canning,
yep,
but not to the extent that these guys do.
And they have a bomber, too.